Hello, hello, my friends. Happy New Year. If you are like me, you are decluttering, maybe taking down some Christmas decorations, starting fresh. And part of starting fresh for me means taking out last month's trash, which is, well, or are candle empties sometimes. So a little bit different format than I normally do this. I am clearly behind the camera today. My entire family is home and I am not able to film in my living room. So today I wanted to share with you what candles I finished burning in the month of December, share with you their performance, what I smelled, all that good stuff. So let's not waste any more time because we've got quite a few candles to talk about. So let's go ahead and talk about the first one that's right here in front of us. I loved this packaging. This is HOMEWORX's Grandma's Gingerbread. Now this was part of the, what was that, Christmas in July TSV over on HOMEWORX, or not on HOMEWORX, on QVC. And the fragrance notes here are warm gingerbread, ground cinnamon, crushed nutmeg, and brown sugar icing. So this candle you will see here, if I show it here, do you guys see those wicks? I did not trim them at all. They kind of had these puny wicks all the way down. Now that being said, the candle did burn all the way down. I didn't have to like pour it out to avoid the puny wick syndrome. The wicks, they seemed like they were drowning, but they didn't actually drown. I don't know if that makes sense to any of you guys, but it was just a very slow burning candle. It was one that I did have to burn in a hurricane. And because these wicks were not very strong, the candle itself, I will tell you that the fragrance I really enjoyed. It's definitely like a gingerbread cookie type of fragrance. If you are somebody who likes those fragrances, I think you would have really liked this. It does smell authentic. And again, I absolutely loved this packaging, but unfortunately, the maximum strength and throw I got out of this was maybe a throw of about a 4. I burned this in my kitchen and it only stayed within my kitchen, but the strength of it may have been like a 3. It was not a very strong candle. It is one that I would say that if it came back next year, I would consider repurchasing. I would probably only get 1 of them. I didn't feel like 2 was necessary, which is how it came. But yeah, it was a nice fragrance. I just wish it would have performed a little bit better for me. With that Grandma's Gingerbread, the fragrance that I burned with it was this Reindeer Beer. Now, if you saw last month's empties, you will see that I burned one of these in the 3-wick format. The fragrance notes aren't listed here, but this basically smells like a root beer candle. It smells like A&W root beer. If you liked HOMEWORX's root beer float, which I personally didn't like that, if you caught my worst candles of 2023, then you would know that. But this candle is very authentic root beer to me. So you will see that I did get a little bit of soot over at the top. Now, I think that that was more so my fault because I do have a tendency sometimes to let these Kringle candles burn a little bit longer just because the wax pool is so, like, it burns so evenly and cleanly. So I think on my last 2 burns, I let this candle burn a little bit too long. I would say that I would repurchase this one again next year, probably to accommodate. This one paired with that Grandma's Gingerbread was a really nice pairing because even though this does smell like root beer, that there is like a vanilla, there's a vanilla note in here that also, I don't know, it mixes nicely with that ginger, and I just thought that it was a really nice pairing. All right, we've got more candles in here. Let's see, which one is this? I believe this is Wishing for Christmas. Yes, this is the Mercury line. This is Wishing for Christmas. Now, spoiler alert, I did go ahead and purchase a backup of this one. Sorry, I'm going to push my box back so you guys can actually see inside of here. This one, you will see, burned all the way down here. And the reason sometimes you might see a little bit of like an uneven wax pool there is that my hurricanes, I have concluded that the hurricanes that I'm using, sometimes if I don't position the candle just right, I don't know if any of you guys have this, but like there's almost like a little like bubble that kind of like comes up like this on the bottom of my hurricane. And so I have to balance my candles just right sometimes. Otherwise, if they're off balance, then the wax can kind of lean to the side. Now, I would say that this candle, the Wishing for Christmas in this 2-wick format, I did find that it was not as strong in terms of the strength and throw as its country candle counterpart. Boy, that's a tongue twister right there. I would say that in this format, I'm going to go ahead and just set it right here, you guys, okay? In that format, It was, I would say, around a 6 in terms of strength and throw. I could still smell it, but I did prefer to burn this one in my living room, and then I would burn the country candle version of it in my kitchen, and then it did envelop like my entire open concept living space. I did go ahead and repurchase this though for next year. I bought one more of these as a backup for next year because I really enjoy the fragrance. The fragrance notes, I'm sorry if I didn't list it, were cookies, vanilla, sugarcane, and pine. This is pretty much your pine tree along with vanilla, like sugar cookies baking in the oven. I absolutely love it. So while we're talking about wishing for Christmas, I'm going to go ahead and show you the country candle version, and you will see here, look at this jar. Ooh, did she get dirty? Ooh, very sooty. This one, you can't necessarily see it now because of the wicks on here. This one had really high mushroom top wicks. So I could only burn this candle for like 3 hours. And then those wicks, the mushroom tops were really heavy on it. They did cause, this one from the get-go, I don't know what was up with the wicks on it, but the wicks kind of like, they didn't lean and fall into the wax pool, but they were always leaning. It was kind of a funny one. However, clearly that did not stop me from burning the candle because I loved the fragrance so much. And I would say that this version, which is the country candle large jar, I will say that I felt like the strength and throw of this was like an 8.5. It was much stronger than the mercury jar. So that was probably because those wicks were a lot more intense. The ones in this jar, the tumbler, they were kind of like your normal country or your normal Kringle candle wicks. Like they didn't get huge mushroom balls or anything, but this one did. And I think it just burned so hot that's why you got some of that soot. But this variation was stronger in terms of strength and throw. So I guess that you can just kind of, I don't know, see where that goes. I'm not sure if that candle is still in stock because it was 50% off here over the last week over at Kringle. Another candle that I'm not sure if this is in stock anymore, but this was also part of the after Christmas sale. I actually burned through 2 of these. I'm not sure if I have both of them in here, but this is Crinkle Cookies. Now, you can see there that the wicks, it burned all the way down, got slightly sooty at the end. I will say that sometimes when you see soot on these jars, it's because like when I'm on my final burn, I get a little bit lazy and I just let it burn out. So the fragrance notes on Crinkle Cookies are chocolate, espresso accord, steamed milk, cocoa, brown sugar, and cream. I surprisingly really liked this fragrance. This was one that I initially picked up in the daylight to make sure that I would like it. And then I went ahead and ordered 2 of these. I want to say it was back in September. They had like a $12 sale on these 3-wick jars. And so I ordered 2 at that point. This fragrance was really nice to pair with that wishing for Christmas because there is a cookie note in this, although this is more like chocolate cookies, but not, I feel like this is almost like a cookies and cream. My friend Connor was talking about that this seems more of like a cookies and cream type of fragrance than the one that Kringle had put out back in the springtime. This fragrance, it's warm. When I burned this alongside with the wishing for Christmas, I extinguished the candle and the fragrance lingered for a good 2 hours in my house afterwards. And I remembered asking my daughter, I said, "Are you baking a cake or something?" She was like, "No." She's like, "I think that's just your candle fragrance lingering." It smelled so good. So if you are a gourmand lover and you are always interested in pairing some of your candles in your candle collection, I would definitely pair these 2. Strength and throw on this 3-wick, I would say was around a good 7. It was a solid candle for me, and it is one that I did not purchase backups of, but it is one that I would reconsider purchasing next year. All right. Fireside Christmas tree, you guys know this is my favorite holiday candle from HOMEWORX. I'm sorry if the reflection there from the window is a little bit too much. So the fragrance notes on this are Fraser fir, fresh pine needle, charred firewood, and dark balsam. This is very much like a hearth type of candle fragrance. This one burned very well for me. It burned all the way down. You can see burned pretty cleanly too. This one definitely has that charred firewood note, but you get the Fraser fir and the pine in here. And the firewood note in here to me is not so much like smoky as much as it is just like there's a charred, earthy note behind this. It's a little bit hard for me to describe, but it is very much reminiscent of exactly what I think here. A fire burning in the background, your Christmas tree right there, Oh, it smells so, so good. Now, I will say that this fragrance this year was, if I burned more than one of these, I almost found it to be overwhelming. This one was pretty strong for me. I would say that this one was a good solid 8 if I burned. And if I burned all, like I had 3 of these, if I would have burned all 3 of them in my house, it was just way too much. So this was a fragrance that I oftentimes paired with another favorite tree fragrance that I will talk about here in a little bit. But it was a solid performer for me, no wick issues. So if you happen to come across this one on clearance, I know that the other day I was in my local Home Goods and they had some HOMEWORX holiday candles on clearance. If you come across this one, I would highly recommend picking it up because this year's pour was pretty good. There were no issues. All right, I have a couple of these. Let me see. There's a red one. There's a green one. And then there is a clear/white one down here. I don't want to break them. That wouldn't be great to do on camera. All right, so these little ornaments here are Kringle Candles Christmas. Now, this fragrance is probably my favorite tree fragrance from Kringle Candle. It's essentially almost smells like the bark or the wood on a Christmas scent. This, I believe, is their best selling fragrance. In fact, I got an email today, and I'm not sure if this is true, so don't quote me. Even though I am a Kringle ambassador, I should know this more. They said that this is their #1 selling scent year round. So I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. I mean, I guess it makes sense. People probably buy more candles around the holidays as gifts and also just for them to burn in their home. If they're normally not a candle burner, I know a lot of people just like to light candles around Christmas. But this fragrance is really good. Now, I would say that I would not repurchase it in this format again, which were these little 2-wick ornaments. This was part of a 2022 collection. I got all 3 of these, which were 14 ounces each. So, you know, the normal 3-wick jars are 14.5 ounces, and these were 14 ounces just in and of themselves. So I felt like it was a good deal. These candles, though, I would say that the strength and throw on these were not what I'm normally accustomed to with Kringle. These were about like maybe a 4. They were not very strong at all. So I tended to burn these ones in my guest bathroom. Normally this candle is a good solid 6 to 7 for me. So I wouldn't repurchase it back in this format. I hope that they will release Christmas. I know they did it in 2022, but they didn't do it this year in a 3-wick or the much rumored 4-wick candles. I hope those make an appearance this year. But yeah, the strength and throw wasn't good on this one, but I definitely would repurchase the Christmas fragrance again. All right, let's go ahead and look here. In fact, I think I might have, let's see. I have the 2022 version of Winter White Woods that I burned all the way through. And then I have 2 of these, the 2023 version of Winter White Woods. And spoiler alert, I got on the website the first day of SAS, which was the day after Christmas, and ordered 2 more of these. If you saw my top Christmas candle videos, like from every brand, this is my absolute, hands down favorite Christmas candle from Bath & Body Works. And I know that it's not specifically marketed as a Christmas candle, but to me, this smells exactly like a Christmas tree lot. When I was growing up, it smells like the stump of a Christmas tree. I tend to like that smell, I think, a little bit more than like the actual pine needles or the needles of a tree. I definitely like more of those like woodsy type of notes, not necessarily cologne. And honestly, you guys, these fragrance notes that they put here, glistening icicles, dried cedarwood bark, and spiced sandalwood. I don't know what they're talking about with glistening icicles, but it's definitely, you get that cedarwood bark and the spiced sandalwood in this fragrance. It is so, so good. All of mine burned really well for me. I will say that these ones are a little bit slower burns. You can see the wicks on there. I didn't trim the wicks at all. They just had a tendency to kind of be those slower burning wicks, but I did burn them in hurricanes. And in a hurricane, this candle is like a solid 9. It is a very, very strong candle, but it's probably one of my most versatile candles. I did enjoy burning this one with, what was that? The Fireside Christmas tree from HOMEWORX. I felt like it combined 2 fragrances that I really like. It combined like a good tree note as well as a good like hearth fireside type of note. So this is a great candle. I did order 2 more backups because I'm always petrified that Bath & Body Works is going to get rid of it and then I'm not going to be able to have it again. All right, this is Winter Woods from Kringle. This was a new 2023 holiday release or winter release. I loved the packaging on this. And if you guys caught my video, that was a few months ago when my husband smelled all the candles with me. We had a great debate over if this was deer or elk. This is a deer, in my opinion. I'm sorry. It just is. That's not an elk. I don't know. That's deer, I think. Or I don't know. Well, now that I'm looking at it more, okay, well, it doesn't matter. All right, the debate continues. Again, this one you can see the jar got a little bit sooty towards the end, but I did burn this a little bit longer. Oh boy, and this lid's a little bit hard to get off. This one's been sitting in I keep my empties in my garage, so they get a little bit cold out there. Yes, even in Arizona, we've had some cold nights. All right, so you can see the wicks burned well. This one burned very nicely all the way down. That wax pool is still pretty white and clean. Yes, the jar did get sooty, but I did burn this in a hurricane. I do burn most of my candles in hurricanes, especially because I've recently purchased them that are really pretty and they just add to the ambiance of the room. This candle has like a cool minty note to it. It's not necessarily like, I wouldn't smell this and be like, oh, that's a peppermint candle, say like, I don't know, like Twisted Peppermint or something like that. But there is a minty, cool air type of note to this. If you happen to like minty, cool fragrances, then I think that you would like this one. I'm not sure if this candle will be a repurchase for me. If I do purchase it again, or if it does come back this next year, I would probably buy it maybe in the 3-wick. I felt like the large jar, it was a little bit too much for me because it was a fragrance that while I enjoyed it, it wasn't one that I was like madly in love with and felt like it was a must-have and I needed backups of. The strength and throw on this was around a 6. It was not a super strong fragrance, which that's okay for me because, again, it's kind of along those mintier, cool notes. And I feel like if it were any stronger than that, it would have overtaken the other candles that I was pairing it with. And I kind of like when I can burn candles that complement one another, and I don't really want them to take over the other fragrance. So that was Winter Woods. Let me look in here. What else do I have? It's like, ooh, pulling out the thing. Oh, yes. This was Peppermint Cocoa. So I burned this candle alongside that Winter Woods. This was the 2022 special holiday release. I had some left over from last year, so I went ahead and finished up. And look at that, you guys. I mean, it really went all the way down. Again, like I explained to you what my hurricanes do. Sometimes they do a little bit of an uneven burn there at the bottom with the wax kind of shifting to one side. But you can see, again, this one towards the end, I let it burn a little bit too long, so we got some soot on it there. I will tell you that my hurricanes, though, don't get very sooty. So I think that these Kringle large jars in particular, especially when the candles get towards the bottom, is when I noticed some of that sooting. I don't ever really notice soot on my Kringle large jars. You know, when it's up to here, it's usually when they start getting to about this mark right here, maybe when there's like a quarter left of the candle left to burn, that I will notice that it catches some soot. And I'm honestly like, I'm okay with that. The whole candle burn time is not. Anyways, Peppermint Cocoa. This is a lovely fragrance. This smells exactly like a Starbucks Peppermint Cocoa. You get that hot chocolate note in here, but you also get the peppermint. I really, really enjoy this candle. I have another one of them in the country candle format that I've burned. I want to say I've burned about a third of it, and I went ahead and put it back into my closet. I might break it out again here in January, maybe on like a cold, cloudy day. Sometimes we get those here. But I always have to burn peppermint scents in the morning because my husband doesn't really care for them, so I burn them when he's not home. But it was a very warm and cozy fragrance. This format in particular was around a 7, so it was a good performer, and I did go ahead and repurchase that fragrance. All right, we're getting here, you guys. All right, while we're on peppermint, Peppermint Snowdrop from HOMEWORX. Now, again, I think this was from 2022. Yes, it was. Pour date of March 6th of 2022. This was part of a QVC TSV. I had it in a duo. The fragrance notes on this are frosty peppermint, candied mint, sugar crystals, and vanilla bean. I will tell you, this is probably, I mean, I love that peppermint hot cocoa. I really like this Peppermint Snowdrop fragrance. I like this way better than Bath & Body Works Twisted Peppermint. And I know in a previous video, I kind of compared this one to Twisted Peppermint. But when I was in BBW recently smelling that candle, I realized that this one has a little bit more of like that candied mint vanilla type of note to it. I feel like this is like a combination of Bath & Body Works crushed candy cane and Twisted Peppermint. I feel like it's like the best of both of those because you do get a little bit of that like candied mint note in here. There's just a little bit more vanilla in this fragrance than there is, but it's not like a sugar cookie fragrance. I actually really like this. It's one that I'm glad that I held on to. So when I got it in a duo last year, I just didn't burn this one. I kept it for this year. And this was a really nice pairing. I ended up burning this with Winter Woods from Kringle and Peppermint Hot Cocoa. This was a very solid candle for me. This one was about an 8 for me. But again, remember that I let it sit for like a year and a half. I mean, this was poured almost 2 years ago. So if you think that it's been sitting for that long, that's probably why it was so strong. But again, it was a pretty good performer for me. I didn't have issues with the wicks. If you see that wax looking a little wonky, it's just because I moved the candle before the wax had completely cooled. I was ready to move on and burn something new, and I was just a little impatient. But that one burned really well for me. I didn't have any wick issues at all with that. All right, and then what is this one? Oh, Christmas lights. Okay, so this was from the Reserve line. This one sold out, I feel like, pretty quickly. This was Kringle's, one of their holiday Reserve lines. And this one smelled so good. Now, I will say, and I have said before, and my friend Connor agrees with me, I feel like this is a sister to Kringle Candle's Christmas. So if this does not come back next year, I won't be completely heartbroken because I do feel like Christmas is similar to it. But if it does come back next year, I would go ahead and repurchase another one. The label on this was absolutely beautiful. This fragrance has a little bit more of, there's a slight fruity note in this, whereas Christmas is just straight up like tree. This is tree, predominantly a tree note, but there is, I want to say maybe like a slight cranberry note in the background on this. I really enjoyed this candle. This one was a pretty solid performer for me as well. I would say it was around a 7 for me in terms of strength and throw. So that was a nice burning candle and one that I hope they bring back. All right, and I have, what do I have here? Oh, yes, I forgot that I finished this one. Okay, this is another one from HOMEWORX. This is Twas the Night Before. This was, again, one of the QVC Christmas in July TSV candles, and it came in a duo. What did I do with the other one? I feel like maybe I gifted the other one to somebody, or did I burn it all the way through? I can't remember. I can't remember what I did with the other one. Actually, no, I did burn both of them. I burned both of them and I just kept one in here. That's what I did. Duh. All right. So the fragrance notes on this are Midnight Frost, Green Balsam, Baccarat Rose, and Smoked Cedarwood. Now, if you watch my friend Connor over at Connor Loves Candles, he hated this candle. And I told him, I said, it's a shame that you live across the country from me because I absolutely loved this fragrance. There is a hearth note to it. There's a sweetness from that Baccarat Rose, but it is definitely like a holiday fragrance. I actually really enjoyed burning this one in November as I was like preparing for Christmas, like in the early days of my Christmas setup, I guess. I'm kind of a funny duck, you guys. Like there are certain candles that I burn at certain times in the holiday season, and this was like an early holiday season fragrance to me. Again, you can see I was impatient and didn't let that wax cool all the way before I moved it, but this also burned pretty well for me. I did want this one to be a little bit stronger. This candle for me was only around like a 5. So I did burn both of them at the same time to get a little bit more of the oomph that I was craving. This is a fragrance that I would go ahead and repurchase next year. Again, I probably wouldn't get it in a duo. That is one of the things that I don't like about purchasing from QVC. I don't like those duos because I just have such a large collection, and with reviewing them, I don't know. I don't want a duo of it, but it was a nice fragrance. I just wish it would have been stronger for me. So let me see. Do I have anything more in here? Let's see. That's a little daylight of Christmas. There's another daylight that I had right here. I'm trying to see where I put it. I must have just thrown it out, but I did finish up another daylight of Oh, what's that candle? The cheesecake one, the white chocolate cheesecake from Kringle. Ugh, I don't like that one at all. It's too sweet. There's something that's cloying in it. It comes off almost like a urine note to me. I don't really like that fragrance. So that is it for my December candle empties. I feel a little bit weird having you guys look at my empty old Sam's Club box. That's where I keep all of my candle empties in the garage. But let me know, how many candles did you finish up? Did you finish up all of your holiday candles before we go into the month of January, or are you continuing to burn them? I am transitioning into some other fragrances that are kind of like winter type of fragrances, but I am moving away from some of those traditional tree notes, going more for like cozy cashmere or maybe like some lavenders, fresher type of fragrances. So let me know in the comment box what you are finishing up. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Katie. I like to talk about predominantly home fragrance here. I sprinkle in a little bit of beauty here and there. But if you want to stick around for more of my content, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. I am getting really, really close to 1,000 subscribers, and that is one of my goals for 2023. I don't think I'm going to hit it by then, by the end of 2023. Well, obviously this is going up on New Year's Day, so I probably didn't. But anyways, if you would like to stick around for more of my content, please hit that subscribe button. Hope you guys are all having a good start to your new year. And until my next video, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and have a very, very blessed day. Bye.